All right, so I want to see what things people are trying to better their health. What things have worked, what things they saw didn't work, um, what they're looking into, and what research they've done to see the benefits of things. Uh, so my main goal was to feel better, um, just all around. I mean, you name it. Like I was not in a good place even like a year ago. I went and got some blood work done, and I was like, "What's wrong with me?" I know I'm getting older. I was 36, getting ready to be 36, and I was like, "I know when you hit your 30s, everything starts breaking down, and you start feeling horrible, and this is just how you're supposed to feel," is what people say. Like, "Oh yeah, this is how it is." Like, get used to just chewing on Tylenol all day long. Um, but I think, am I low testosterone? Am I low on some sort of uh, nutrient? Like, what is it? So they ran all the blood work. They go, and I take a bunch of vials of blood, send it off, get the results back, and they said, you live in Indiana, so you're vitamin D deficient like everyone. So that's why you get your winter depression. You get that lack of sun. And I thought I was killing it because I was always outside. Kids play sports. I'm outside all the time. No. And it's actually, upon doing some of my own research, it's harder for more tan people to take in vitamin D. They're more deficient. I thought it'd be the other way around, but I guess you learn some things. And the only other thing, and I asked them testosterone, how's my they're like, oh no, it's on the lower end, but it's in the ideal range. It's like, okay, then what's wrong? I'm like, oh well, you're just getting older. Um, and I talked to them, and I got to a point where I was having anxiety in the car. I never was a person that was a worrywart or had a bunch of anxiety, but I was doing a lot of things and in charge of certain things, and it was a lot of stress. It weighed on me, and I overthought a lot of things, and I got to the point where I needed anxiety meds. I told him I got to do something because I didn't want to be another person on anxiety med, but it's come to this where I feel like I need something because I'm waking up with anxiety. I'm driving in the car and I have anxiety. It's like there's no reason for me to have anxiety right now. So they put me on a low dose. I felt like it didn't make a difference. I asked for a higher dose and I just didn't feel right. I just, like, it helped, but I just didn't feel me. And I didn't like it. They gave me a vitamin D, and then they just kind of said that's that. So then I tried doing that for a little while, the vitamin D, the anxiety med, and then I was like, I need a change. I tried a few other things. I went through winter, and I got sick at least 4 big times. Normally, once every 2 years, I was getting sick. This time, I got sick with 4 different illnesses, it felt like, throughout the winter season. I got into January and I didn't have like New Year's resolutions. I'm never a person that's like New Year, new me. But I got sick again and I came out of it and I said, I gotta make a change. Like, if this is how bad I feel now and this is how sick I'm getting, and I'm waking up and my knees hurt, I'm pulling myself out of bed, I ache all the time, I can't sleep because my shoulder hurts here. I've had therapy many different times on this shoulder and I can't sleep on this shoulder because it'll start to hurt everything. Even sleeping wasn't comfortable. So I said, this this is when I start investing in my health. I'm going to try all the things. People will tell me, oh, this doesn't work, that doesn't work. I'm going to try it. I'm going to see if it works for me. And at least I can say I did something to better my health, and I'm trying to do things to better my health. And so I began on the journey. The first thing I did was cut out pop. And it was amazing to me. Within a matter of probably 2 weeks of cutting out pop and drinking more water, my joints didn't hurt. My shoulder, my constant shoulder pain that I was having, it dissipated, but it was still there. But flash forward a couple months now, I'm not having that constant chronic shoulder pain. I have other issues, and I've had injuries and things that, like, it doesn't cure all, but helps. I got rid of the inflammation, and that was causing more pressure on the joints and causing more issues. I cut out the fast food and the processed food that made me bloat and feel horrible and sluggish and tired all the time. Just cutting out the junk. It wasn't going on some expensive diet or some revolutionary, like, new fad. I was just cutting out some of the bad things. And I found different supplements that I tried, that some of them worked. Some of them I felt no change. I can show you guys a bit of my medicine cabinet later, but one of the biggest things that I thought, like, oh, hippie juju, is basically when you start dabbling in that nutrition, wellness, natural herb world. Like, people were like, oh, you're just, rub some chamomile on you or whatever. Like, natural things have been around for years. Many natives have used all these things because they didn't have man-made drugs. They mixed together natural herbs, and it made them feel better. And they had it worked out because the things were passed on from trial and error throughout the years. So when I was looking at different things, one of the biggest things that I can say, like, that I've dabbled in, that I noticed a big change, was lion's mane mushroom. Now, I've seen different people talk on it, and it's in different mixes and stuff. And for me, like, I always felt like pretty much all my life I had, like, a little bit of a mental block. Like, I could go so far, and then I would stray away, and I couldn't learn something as quickly. It took me a lot longer. I mean, when I was in school, they labeled me with a learning disability, ADD or whatever, and I thought, okay, that's me. I got constant brain fog. It's hard for me I have to read things 3 or 4 times. I have to try harder and focus harder than others. And when people were taking tests, I was always the last one to get done. And I always felt like I had to rush through because it's like, man, how are they getting this stuff done? But upon taking lion's mane, it's supposed to help with all brain cognitivity and connect all the neurons and all that. And reading on it, I'm like, okay, sure, yeah, that's just it's like a super thing, and I'm just gonna be smart. I tried it in a powder form, and you put it in a coffee, a tea, some warm drink, to pretty much reactivate after it's been dried. And I did it for 2 weeks, and I was like, all right, this stuff's all right. It didn't taste bad. I put in a little bit of broth, and it tastes pretty good. And I didn't notice leaps and bounds or anything like that, but I didn't. I was like, all right, well, man, I feel pretty good on this, and my energy level's pretty good on this, and I'll keep taking it. So I kept taking it, and then as I'm like talking to people, and then I'm like doing research on other things, and like I find myself watching like videos, learning about this, learning about that, and I'm reading on things, and I'm learning about health, and I'm uh, deep diving into all kinds of different vitamins and like what to take, what not to take, and then like a month later, it's like, man, I really got a lot of work done. Like I really learned about things, and I retained a lot of that knowledge, and I didn't really notice the difference until I actually ran out, and I didn't have time to go get more. And within a matter of like a week, I noticed I was forgetting words. I was getting stuck on words. I would enter a room, and I was like, what am I doing in here? And that had went away when I was on Lion's Mane. And you don't realize what normal feels like until you go back and you're like, oh wow, this thing's making a difference. Um, I I was able to remember things and just be focused and just be alert, and it just was such a crazy change. And then when you go back, it's like you notice a difference. It's like trial and error, like I said, with like fast food and different foods. Like if you go away from the bad food for a while and then you try to go back, you see the harm that does. Just like soda, you can stop soda for 2 weeks and then try to drink a Coca-Cola. It burns your throat. You're like, oh wow, this is too much sugar. But then once you start drinking again, you get used to it, and then you get used to that bogged down feeling, and you forget what it's like to feel good. So I got more Lion's Mane, and I tell you, it's one of those things where I will continue to take it because it works for me. Maybe it doesn't work for everyone, and I read that it could take up to 2 months for some people to even see effects of it. It affects people differently. Maybe because I'm a little Filipino guy or whatever, like it gets into me and it goes faster or something. I don't know. And maybe I was so deficient that I noticed bigger changes, but it's not a cure for illnesses and different things, but I can tell you it helped me. There's other mushrooms in the Japanese culture that they've been using for years that help with skin, reishi mushrooms or immortal mushrooms. I've been trying to get direct from someone who grows those, um, because some of those things on Amazon I did try when I couldn't get the Lion's Mane. I did go on Amazon. I bought some off of Amazon that was like a 10 mushroom pack, and I was like, oh yeah, get all the mushrooms. Let's just throw them all in there, and I get all the benefits. Found out that stuff tasted gross. You have too much going on there, and I didn't notice the same things going on when I took direct Lion's Mane. And I'm actually getting ready to go to the farmer's market in Lafayette, because there's a guy that sells Lion's Mane directly from him. He posts videos of his setup, of how he grows them, and it is a good product straight from a local person. It's not coming from China where it's like watered down, where you can watch documentaries on how like China has been watering down different products to sell for cheap. It's all about the dollar. Look up things about honey, how China has put the American honey bee producers out of business. You got those small people making honey here and there at local markets, but China waters it down, and there's actually like a science group that tests honey coming out of like different locations because people got so scientific on how they water it down to make it past all these different tests. And a lot of the people that were in control of like these tests were from these honey companies prior. So it's a whole thing. I don't get into conspiracy and dabble in a bunch of things, but there's a lot of things out there. If you can get it from a direct person that's local, that's the best, and you're helping others around you instead of sending money to a big corporation. But yeah, so I'll dive deeper into some of the other supplements and things that I've tried, but for right now, I can tell you, I guess, just start your journey for better health and don't stop and keep trying different things, because I haven't tried elderberry, but I've seen a lot of people going after that one. I tried beetroot, and I didn't notice a big change. I still take it from time to time just because I got a big bottle of it, and I might as well, and I'm sure there's great benefits with it. There's Tongkat Ali and Fadoja that was supposed to help with testosterone and different things, and I didn't notice a big jump with that. Maybe it works great for some people. Huberman was talking about that one and said it would work great for him, and maybe it worked great for him, but I haven't seen it. Ashwagandha actually is supposed to help you sleep and is a stress reducer, and I would take it, and it was very hard for me to wake up in the morning. Like, I was just very still tired, unless maybe you got a good solid 8 hours of sleep. It just wasn't for me. I've tried it a couple different times, and it's supposed to be a great one for you, but it just didn't work for me. I didn't like how I felt on it. But if people have trouble sleeping and that's your main focus, like, try ashwagandha, and it's not expensive. You can get it at CVS, or probably some other local markets. But try all the things, see what works for you, and have a good one.